Hola, señoras y señores, bienvenidos a mi canal nuevamente. Es un honor estar acá con ustedes. Hoy les traigo a uno de los bateristas más icónicos de la historia de la música, probablemente el baterista que más discos ha grabado en la historia de la música. Él nació en diciembre del año 1954 en Iowa. Es un baterista y un músico de sesión estadounidense que ha sido llamado uno de los bateristas más grandes de la historia. Es conocido por su trabajo con Quincy Jones, incluido el álbum multiplatino Off the Wall de Michael Jackson, el sencillo de caridad We Are the World. Asistió a Berklee College of Music en Boston. Robinson presenta el programa de radio Final Night, que eso estaría en lo que es EnterTalk Radio, y ha trabajado con muchísimos artistas. Voy a ir nombrando un par. Entre ellos está Barbara Streisand, ha trabajado con Daft Punk, Dave Lee Roth, Eric Clapton, George Benson, eh, Herbie Hancock, eh, bueno, Luis Miguel, ¿sí? También bueno, ha trabajado con Kenny G, Lionel Richie, Madonna. Así que bueno, es un honor tenerlo acá con nosotros. So I would like to introduce to you one of the greatest drummers in the history of music, the one and only John Robinson. Welcome.
Mm. Pablo, thank you so much for having me, and I'm really glad that we got our internet worked out.
Thanks, God.
Yeah, well, good. All right, it's good, nice to meet you.
Yeah, me too. It's an honor. The first question that I have is I would like to know, let's go back to the beginnings. When and
Ah,
why you decide to play the drums?
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I may look young, but I've been playing for 62 years.
Wow.
So I started, being from Creston, Iowa, Southwest Iowa, is right north of Kansas City. I started playing piano at age 5 and realized that piano was really hard at age 5. And all of a sudden, within a couple of years later, I got kind of hit by God's drum lightning bolt. And I started playing drums between 7 and 8. And it was a kind of a natural transition out of piano, even though I stayed with piano. But drumming came quite early.
Great. Awesome. Do you think that every drummer has to learn a melodic instrument like the piano?
I actually do, and piano, obviously, being in the percussion family, I think it makes a lot of sense for percussionists, drummers, to learn piano. I mean, and I ended up learning guitar later. Guitar, not dissimilar fretboards, but guitar is a lot easier
Mm,
than piano. Piano is to me the hardest instrument there is on this planet. But yes is the answer.
okay. The next question is you're the most recorded drummer in music history. You work with Madonna, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Lionel Richie, and the list goes on and on. Why is that? What makes
Ah,
an artist to choose your drumming for an album, and which are the main reasons?
well, that's a multi-answered question. I've been, first of all, blessed with great time, and so as time as a drummer, obviously is rule number one. So when an artist or a producer or a musician calls me to play, they know that, hey, I'm going to be playing. There's not going to be any time issues, which and a lot of people in today's recordings use machines, and or the drummers rush or drag, and the key is to have consistent time throughout between the 3 and the 8 minute mark when you're recording a song. So that's one reason. Second reason is a sound that I've developed and nurtured ever since I was a little boy, and how that grew into this sound by listening to great drummers when I was younger and growing from each one of these, but making it my own sound. And then three, having the musicality being able to read very well and to adapt to any kind of music, except for Norwegian speed metal.
Do you think that every drummer needs to practice with a metronome, or it's not important? How important is the metronome?
It's an interesting question. My philosophy is the only time you practice with a metronome is when you're doing like calisthenics or rudiments or singles or doubles or triples, and just to keep your facility loose. Now, I personally don't practice with a metronome when I play grooves. I never have, and the reason why is I depend on my inner clock
Mm-hmm.
for my click or for my time concept, and uh, if you can't depend on yourself, I want to control the click track when I'm working in a studio. I don't want it to control me. But I say that if you're doing, working on a pad or a snare drum, or your feet, or those kind of things, it's good to understand that there is a policeman telling you that you're dragging or rushing. But the most important thing is to develop that without a metronome. I've done a whole bunch of Luis Miguel records, and I'm bringing that up because what it was, I mean, why are they hiring this, this white guy from Creston, Iowa, to play on Luis Miguel records?
Mm.
So and the reason is because the concept of a bolero in pop terminology is not anything different than playing on an Eagles track. It's kind of the same groove.
Yeah.
But the concept is, okay, I've got Abraham Laborio playing bass with me, so I'm listening to how he's phrasing this, even though I still may be going, but then I'll add my little grace notes and stuff around how I hear Luis singing and Abraham playing, and then everybody else fits in. So it's important to adapt to the song that you're playing to. And one other thing is you can be influenced by the greats like I was, but the reason why I keep getting called about these things are that I've interpreted it with my own style.
Mm-hmm.
One, and and I get the job done fairly quickly.
True. I remember back in the days in the 80s that drummers were very afraid of electronic drums and electronic loops and all that, and they say, "Oh, we're gonna get out of work." And do you think that AI is kind of like the same kind of problems the drummers had in
That's
the
a
80s?
great question, and I've got a book we'll talk about at the end, but
Mm.
that's coming out. But and I talk about AI a little bit, but when machines first were presented to me, and I always play keyboards. Like I'm here in a studio with and I write a lot through my piano playing, keyboard playing, but uh, I chose not to allow any Linn drum machine or DMX or SP12s or whatever these keyboard programmers were using
Mm.
to intimidate me. So what I did was I learned how to use them, and just added it to like a tool belt with another hammer and a wrench.
Mm.
So by not being intimidated by it, for example, my band Rufus and Shaka Khan, Hawk wrote "Ain't Nobody," and he had programmed that on a Linn drum machine. Excuse me, and it was incredibly sterile.
Mm.
It wasn't just had no feel. So I went in there and played my own thing over it. And when you listen to "Ain't Nobody," it sounds like a machine part, but it's not. It's me. So I think the key about that getting intimidated. Now, cutting to today, I think the vocalists first have to be scared,
Mm.
because if you can release a Beatles tune
Exactly.
or eventually, I mean, God, are we going to be paying to see Elvis again?
Mm.
And Michael and all these people. So, if they can synthesize a vocal track, they could potentially synthesize a JR track.
Hmm.
But I don't think that's going to happen. Over the next 10 to 20 years, I don't see it happening.
How was your experience recording the song "We Are the World"? And which highlights can you tell us from that particular recording? By the way, I love that that song that you play there. It's incredible.
Well, it was nice when we showed up a week before, myself, Lewis Johnson, and Greg Fillinganes, and Quincy's band, and just we hung around before the camera started rolling, and then they started rolling with Michael and Lionel and how they're writing the song. So we were involved in that, and then we just interpreted it in a. I've worked with Lionel so many times, and of course Michael, but Lionel's writing is you want to play drums simplistic, but yet soulful.
Yeah.
And so I approached that with a huge snare drum sound, but a simplistic style, because I knew that there were going to be 30 singers on this thing,
Mm.
and so that it went down like that fairly quickly from the rhythm section, because we had been playing together for so many years.
Mm.
So it was an honor. The one thing I don't like is the new documentary not giving us physical credit.
Mm. It's
We
true.
we're in there for a few seconds, but I've done a Instagram post about this, and I employ all my brethren out there to look at it and chime in, because the director forgot to give us physical credit. And in reality, us three guys were the guys that built the foundation of the house. And then the singers go on it.
Mhm.
Without us, it couldn't have happened, but the guy overlooked it. So that was the kind of the drag. But it was, one of the greatest moments in my life to be able to do such a great thing for the children of Africa. And it was the largest selling single of all time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we did it for free.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, it's
Wow.
a full donation.
Oh, awesome. Um, you recorded the drums part for the entire of the world record from Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you came up with the drum fill on the song "Rock with You"?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get this question a lot. And I need to give my band Rufus props, because that was us on that record, with
Mm.
Bobby Watson on bass and Hawk Walensky on keyboards, and the great David Williams, the late great, on guitar. But Rod Temperton, the writer, had a demo, and he had some weird opening thing, Phil, that led into this demo. And by the time then we came into the studio, we were at Westlake B. Uh, we're all sitting around in the room. It's not a big room,
Mm.
and we're sitting around, and we're into take one, wasn't happening. We're into take two, a little bit better. Take three, there's no magic. All of a sudden, I see Quincy and Rod come out of the control room, and Quincy stands by me here, and Rod's here, and Quincy looked at me, and he goes, "Jr. Can you come up with an intro drum fill that everybody in the world will always identify and know that it's Rock with You?" And I go, "Oh boy." I go, "Sure I can." And I could look at the rest of the guys in the room, and they're like going, and I go, "Oh shit." And I go, "Sure I can." So they turned around and walked away and went in there, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
Wow.
So I kind of like, I used some of Rod's influence, and then I decided to take uh a triplet and straight sixteenths with syncopation and combine them, which I don't like. In other words, I did something that was not friendly to my style, and using my marching and military training, I came up with that fill. So it was take four, and then all of a sudden I hear four clicks,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. And
Yeah.
the band kept going, and everybody started playing better and
Wow.
different because of that fill. So
Awesome.
I don't know. It came from God.
From God. Thanks, God.
Yeah, thank
Awesome.
you. Right now, you can go on my website, which is johnjrrobinson.com, and there's a form, and you can sign up for the book. The book is called King of the Groove, and my story. And my gal, Allie Mang, is the book producer, and she says, you should do a book. And this was a couple of years ago. And I go, well, I've always wanted to do a book, but I didn't have the training to do it myself. To do a book is really hard to do. I mean, you gotta know all sorts of programs. You gotta be really disciplined. I mean, and so how I started was Allie and I was starting to just brainstorm, and I ended up starting with Post-its, and in this room were Post-its everywhere. It was kind of like the attack of the killer Post-its, and just coming up with ideas. What's the concept going to be? Does that title work? No, don't worry about the title. So then the title finally came to me about 6 months in, and I mean, what do I do? What am I known for? And it's groove. So that's kind of how we claimed it, and that's the title. So the book is basically starts out, and I guess it is in chronological order, but it also it varies through all sorts of places and points in my life. But it does talk about when I was very young and how I, like questions you've asked. But we have all this beautiful data, uh, examples, testimonies. Quincy Jones did my intro to the book, and it's quite extraordinary. I think everybody is going to really love this book. There's really good information in it. I didn't want any sort of dirt in the book. There's no reason for that.
Yeah.
And uh, I looked at other drummers' books, and how can I be unique? And that's when people get this book, they're going to love it. So they right now, and it will be available on Amazon, and we'll figure out what publisher, which will be announced on the website. But now you can go to my website.
Excellent. Well, it has been a tremendous honor for me and for all the people here in my country, in Argentina, to have you
Yes.
and talk to you, because you are a great inspiration for me, for many drummers. And I've been playing drums for a while, and your feels and your groove has really inspired me. So I would like
Oh,
to
Pablo,
thank you.
thanks, man. Oh, it was my honor, man. Thank you. And I love Argentina, and I can't wait to get down there. And hopefully, it won't be this year, but hopefully in 25, I'll be down. And, anybody, if they want to get a hold of me, they can go to the website, and it goes directly to my Mac. And, I greatly appreciate everybody. And Pablo, thank you so much.
Thank you for
All
everything.
right. All right. Love you guys.
All right. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.